I think, yes, we are live. Good.
Woohoo.
I know, right? Let's have a little dance.
Yeah. Whoa, dancing.
Let me just double check the page and then we'll see. Yes, we are live. Very good. All right, guys, we have another one, an elevating cancer conversation. I'm so honored and blessed to share energy with this woman. We met during a coaching program, and she just inspires me anytime that I speak to her, and lights up every conversation with her being, and is just a creative woman on such a journey. I'm so honored to have you here, Pip. So yeah, thank you for being here. Pip Simpson from, is it Sydney? No, is it Australia? We're in
It's going to be Chisholm, but it's, yeah, Chisholm. I'm going to be soon in the midst of changing it all, so call me whatever.
I was just asking, like, how should I introduce you? And you were like, no, whatever you feel like. And I'm like, yes, that free spirit. I love it. So yeah, if you want to share maybe some of the things that you're doing, of who you are, what your story is.
So yeah, I guess you nailed it with the free spirit. Probably don't fit into many conventional boxes. Yeah, have this probably wild streak in me that doesn't like to be contained or to, be smothered, or really to have my life so predictable. So right now I feel incredibly blessed to be creating a life that resonates with my heart and soul, and there's all sorts of amazing things happening. I have, since I met Lisanne, I've started coaching with Preston, who we were in a program with, and that just, yeah, lights me up. I feel incredibly blessed to be part of his, it's called Stretch 22, and it's a 6-month program. So I am one of his support crew, and I absolutely love it. So I feel like I've, been blessed to be given the opportunity to find my calling and use the challenges that I've encountered in my life in a positive way to, perhaps bring some guidance and love to other people that are going through things and they don't feel like they have the support. And yeah, I'm a bit of a horse freak, so I'm also creating a business with horses. That is my, that lights me up. Probably that free spirit to go bareback horse riding is probably one of life's most fabulous things in my view.
You've been horse riding for your whole life nearly, have you?
My parents had a horse stud. We bred race horses, so I guess, yeah, I was born in the mountains, and we had horses all around, and it's just something I really love.
Amazing. And the reason why you're part of the Cancer Elevation Conversations is because you've had breast cancer yourself. How long has that been ago now?
So I've had it twice, actually.
Yeah.
So the first time I had breast cancer, I was maybe 38 or something like that. And I was super fit. I ran, I ate well. I had 3 small children, and I'd split up with their dad and thought that life was, really, I was on track. I was free. I was living the life that I wanted to create with my children. And then bam, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And the morning that I was diagnosed, I'd run 15 kilometers with a friend. I was, super fit and healthy. And then in the afternoon of that same day, I go to the doctor and get told I have breast cancer. It was like such extremes. It's like, in the morning you feel vital and you're on top of the world, and in the afternoon your world just comes crashing down. And that period in my life was incredibly challenging, but I was very fortunate that I was fit and strong, and I think that served me well. I had a mastectomy, and the cancer was in the milk duct, so it was DCIS, they call it, early stage breast cancer, and it wasn't in my lymph nodes, so the mastectomy was the cure. I didn't need to have chemotherapy, and I was like, wow, okay, I've had a whack of this surgery and a setback, but I was, I felt incredibly lucky that I didn't have to go and choose. Some people suggest mastectomy, and I'm like, well, my theory was my other breast was perfectly healthy and I would monitor it, and it wasn't something that I wanted to choose or I was recommended to do. And I had a beautiful surgeon who I trusted. So off I went and created a new life with my children, subsequently got remarried a couple of years later. And it was probably 10 years till I was diagnosed with breast cancer in the other breast. And it was a completely different form of cancer. It was a small lump, which they thought was nothing. And then it turned out to be a really savage, I think stage 3 cancer that had spread to my lymph nodes. So it was aggressive even though it was small. And so then I had a mastectomy of my other breast, and they recommended chemotherapy due to the fact it was in my lymph system and probably also my previous history. So that was a really tough decision. I'm quite alternative in my beliefs. I rarely attend doctor surgeries or anything. So to make that choice and go with conventional medicine was really difficult for me.
Yeah.
I researched for perhaps, I think I had 6 weeks from the surgery till I had to make a decision. And I researched, and my marriage was very probably unhealthy by that point in time, and I didn't feel especially supported by my husband. I asked if he could help me research, and he thought that it was something I needed to do. And I just got bamboozled. There was so much information to digest, and I found, alternative places all over the world. I found I think he calls himself a environmental scientist or something, but he was all about keeping your system alkaline. And I was really close to thinking, okay, I'm going to choose Frank and follow his system. But even that became stressful. It's like trying to keep your body, totally alkaline. You test your pee every time, 50 times a day. Every time you eat something, you're thinking, is that made it alkaline? Is that made it acid? And different alkaline foods will turn acidic in your body. And I certainly don't have that scientific knowledge to have really grasped it. And one day I went to tell him I was ready to commit to his theories and that hopefully he was going to save my life. And he'd forgotten I had an appointment with him. He's quite elderly, and he came to the door all shabby and sleepy. And I was like, I don't think you're my man.
No.
So then off I went, and I chose chemotherapy. And it was, I think, 3 months of chemo. And that was really challenging. I found it difficult. That environment it's scary. People are in a kind of chemo ward. They're scared. It's, nobody can touch you because of the chemicals they're using. And I remember, the very first night that I'd sat there and I'd had chemotherapy all day, my daughter and my husband had come with me, and I'm very aware of what I eat and the chemicals that I kind of put in my body. So I've watched them fill me with chemicals for 8 hours, and I've come home and I was terrified. And they've given me a little card to say, if you have an adverse reaction, you might vomit, you might whatever, please rush to the hospital, and this card will inform them that you've just had chemotherapy and you need, urgent attention. I remember hopping into bed that night going like, whoa, like, am I going to vomit all night? Am I going to die in my sleep? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, could you please spoon me? I'm really scared. And he said, I don't know if I love you, Pip. And I was like, fuck, okay, like, excuse my language, but like that today. And it was just, in my memory, that's one of the dirtiest, most difficult days of my life, because I was terrified.
Of course.
And I didn't know what the future held with, this being my second, cancer episode. It was like, maybe my number's up. And my children were bigger, but my youngest child he was still, I think he was like 13 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my children had finished school. She was my most incredible supporter and like made juices and loved on me like till she was, spent. She was incredible. And my second child was doing his final year of school. And I remember saying to him, oh, Henry, like, please, he's at boarding school. Please, just keep your focus on your studies. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to fight. And, you just worry about getting through school. And at the end of that year, he got, I think, 90% for his studies and got into architecture at university. And I was like, oh, wow, how did you even manage that? And he said, Mom, I just wanted to make you proud. You had so much on. I just worked really hard.
Oh,
it's like
incredible.
So
now.
at the end of chemotherapy, my husband and I decided that our marriage was really not sustainable. So we split up. unfolds a whole nother chapter in life that's kind of, quite scary. I suppose you come at the back of chemotherapy, you've lost both your breasts, and you get to start your life again. Yeah. And it's really those months in that period where something like your program would have been a godsend. To have that support and to have people around you that really understand that fear and that space of the unknown, and how do you go and create a whole new life when you're a completely different person, really.
Yeah, it must have been like, also like, it's not just your whole personal, like the illness and recovery. It's also like your marriage ending, and like you went through a like complete, let's hold everything upside down. How was that for you?
I think there's so much about my life that wasn't in alignment with my values. And I got the time and space to really tap into that and recognize that I really love animals. I really love nature. I have a deep faith in, the natural world and how its systems work. And we were on a farm where we grew grain, and they used a lot of chemicals, and so much of that, my heart wasn't really in it. It's not who I am and my belief system. So I guess there was conflict in our values and beliefs. And essentially that, I think when you don't listen to your inner voice and you're not living your truth, there's an opportunity for illness to take up, some space, because eventually you get a little tap on the shoulder from the universe. And I'm sure I'd had hundreds and I'd ignored them. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm here, and I'm here for the long haul, and we're going to make this work. And the universe had a completely different idea. And now, like 2.5 years later, I feel incredibly blessed. And I swam with my daughter in the ocean today, and I went, the universe always knows what's best.
It does.
And you don't necessarily see it at the time, but I said, I have this incredible faith in things always turn out how they're meant to. It's not always how we choose or how we think we can control. So for me now, it's like this, I guess, it's spirituality, and it's faith, not necessarily religion, but more, this just faith in a higher being that knows best for all of us. And I guess I just live my life wherever I can in flow. I let the universe guide me. And, even in the coaching program I was in with Lisanne, I was like, maybe you're a bit too casual on that, like, flow thing. It serves me now. I love it. And I've had since my marriage, ended, and, we had sort of financial stuff to work through. In that space and that time, I got to read, I got to learn, I got to, develop programs and habits in my life that really serve me. So now I meditate without fail. It's like my non-negotiable spiritual practice, which I'll tell anyone that wants to listen, like, go meditate, figure it out, find a way of meditating that suits you, whether it's standing on your head, on the chair, on the beach, wherever, however. Listen to mantras, listen to something that guides you, just be silent, however you find. But for me, that's probably the magical key to having a still mind and just being able to listen to your body and what it's trying to tell you at any given moment. Yeah. And I'd stopped listening to my body so terribly. And so I guess the universe just came and just went like, I'm going to just clear out everything in your life that doesn't serve you. And it's going to be, it's going to be a pretty confronting time. It's like my father passed away, I had cancer. It's like lost my health, lost my father, lost my marriage, lost my home. It's like, and I kind of was like, anything else, universe? Like, wow.
What else do you have?
Yeah. And now I get to rebuild. I'm blessed to rebuild a whole life I was probably aged 49. I'm 51 now. That really feels good, and it feels true to what my soul wants to to do, and I'm on a path where I get to meet really, really beautiful people that we just connect, and I have these beautiful, deep friendships, which I really never had before. There was a lot of superficial stuff in my life that was polite and friendly, but I never had that like connection that I have with people like Lisanne and from the stretch group and from people that I met now, because I do stuff that I love. And so I meet people that are also doing stuff they love. Yeah. So it's exciting.
It's amazing. And what stood out for me is that you were saying, even like before the first one, you were so healthy, living the healthy lifestyle. And you would think that means you're listening and taking care of your body. But it doesn't necessarily is the case. So many people who are like healthy and like from the outside, and it looks like you're really taking care of your training and your diet, and you say you're running 15 kilometers and you get to the hospital and you get this news. And then to see you now on this other side, really being tuned in, it's a different energy, I think. To be really, really, like, really listening, like deep listening, and through meditation, through just getting to know the signals and the energies. What kind of shifted that for you? Like after the treatments, in the first few months of like picking up your life and going through all the fear, what were kind of things that you practiced, or little tools or little hints that you were like, oh wait, I need to look into this?
I think reading's been one. I mean, I love reading, so reading was really useful to just find books that, like, I devoured mostly. It was self-help books, health books, wellness things, diet. I guess I just became really fascinated with the human body and the human spirit, and how it all is, interwoven really. And I guess there's things we've learned in stretch, which is like the mind, body, spirit, that all need to be nurtured to really be in sync. And for me, as you said, I was caring for my body, but not necessarily my mind or spirit. And even in that environment, I wasn't really caring for my body, because the environment I lived in was filled with toxic chemicals that I really, I was always, please don't spray near our house. And, I'd go and grass because we drink rainwater off our roof, and, I'd think, well, there's spray chemicals that drift onto the roof and then go into your water supply, and that's what we're drinking. So I guess I got to clean up all those aspects of my life afterwards and be really mindful of, the quality of the things I put in my body as well. The quality of the water, and, I've stopped drinking coffee, I've stopped drinking alcohol, and a lot of those things almost just self-eliminated. I became incredibly sensitive to everything. So, like alcohol, if I had one glass of wine, I never really drank that much. Probably, I always think that I had my quota in my youth. I was pretty wild. So I was like, okay, I did that in my 20s, and now I'm sensitive to it. But I would have one glass of wine and then wake up and go, oh, why did I do that? I just don't feel really very perky. So I was like, well, eliminate that, eliminate coffee, eliminate meat, which, I grew up on a animal farm. We had racehorses and beef cattle. So becoming a vegetarian is quite an interesting thing in a family that are very traditional, meat eaters, farming people. And I haven't missed that for a minute. And so it's just cleaning up every aspect of my life as thoroughly as I possibly can. And that includes people. Like, I became allergic to people that were, that their currency was gossip or something. I was like, I can't be around that energy. Or someone would tell me something and I go, please don't tell me. I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
And so my world really contracted. It became very small, and I see way fewer people. I'm way less social than I used to be. But I love that, because the people I see are really true, dear friends, and really wholesome, healthy relationships where you can share and feel really, feel that trust and connection. So I guess it just teaches you to live life how your heart and soul want.
That's amazing. I just find it so beautiful to see how free you are now, and in what such a state of bliss and joy and appreciation you live. And then hearing the story of having your first chemo and being so deeply, deeply afraid of what might happen because you've got no idea. That is such a transformation. And I think a lot of people go through the fear and the anxiety of things happening without your out of your control. And when you're in the middle of it, it's really hard to be able to see what will be on the other side because you don't know what there will be on the other side. How did you work through that? And how did you maybe connect to the fear, listen to the fear? Like, what did you do? Because
I think I've learned probably essentially through meditation to really tap in and listen to my body. And that's been interesting because I think I see my oncologist once a year. And I generally now, I even forget my appointments because I just feel that period of my life is like complete.
Yeah.
And I've learned the lessons I needed to learn. And so I tried to call her one day, maybe it's about 5 months ago. And I was recommended to take tamoxifen for 10 years. And I was like, I don't really want to take drugs. I'm flat out to take Panadol, or I don't really want to take some drug that has all these side effects. So chemotherapy put me into menopause straight away. The first chemo was like, bang, you'll probably have one period and that will be your very last one. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I had a horrific one. And I remember ringing the oncologist thinking, am I going to die of like blood loss here? Like, what the heck's happening to me? And she went, oh, it's probably your last one, darling. And so that was another kind of loss. It was like my body hadn't, I had no symptoms of menopause prior to this. And then it was like, whack, we're going to, shut down all your kind of female processes. And so that mentally was quite challenging. And I lost most of my hair. It was really just such a thorough shedding. And so the more I meditated, the more I was like, I started taking tamoxifen, and I had a lot of legal kind of stuff happening in my life and stress figuring things out with my ex-husband. It was pretty unpleasant. So I decided that I wasn't in a space to make a big decision about tamoxifen, so that I would start taking it. And then when I had like space and, a clear head to make a sound decision, I would do some research and assess it. And do the research. My body told me, hey, Pip, you don't need this.
Yeah.
So I went to ring my oncologist one day and like discuss it with her and basically inform her I'd chosen, I didn't want to take it anymore. I'd taken it for perhaps 1 year. And I didn't get in touch with her, and it obviously wasn't urgent. And maybe about 4 days later, she rang me back and said, what's up? And in that time, I'd like, wasn't meant to talk to her. I'm just going to make an executive decision. So when she rang me back, I went, oh, well, by the way, I just want to say I rang to discuss tamoxifen, but I didn't get hold of you, so I've stopped taking it. And she went, she said, when's your next appointment? We might have a little arm wrestle about that when you come to see me. And I went, yeah, whatever. So then I went to see her, and she said, well, we recommend you take it for 10 years. And I went, I said, I actually know that for some reason, and at that point I didn't really know what my calling was. I said, the universe wants me to survive. And I said, if the universe doesn't want me to survive, I won't, and it won't be your drug that keeps me alive. And she got it. She smiled and she said, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, I got you to have chemotherapy. I did pretty well. And so now I feel like just my body feels really pure and really clean. I wasn't comfortable with this drug in my body when everything else was clean and healthy, and the side effects, I just didn't quite feel 100%, myself. And I, as I cleaned out every other aspect of my life, I was like, that's the only thing I can really put it down to. And now I do. I just feel like, the best version of me I've ever been. So it's exciting.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I think the most important thing is listening to your body, because everyone has a different route, and we've been saying this over the past few conversations as well. If whether you choose alternative or conventional or a mix of both, or you choose one and then you're like, doesn't work for me, I need to go a different way, it is all your own choice. And I feel like there's a lot of judgment, whatever which way you go. People come
Mm,
across a lot of judgment, and it's so powerful when someone says, "This is what I choose, and this is what I stand for, because this is what my body is telling me." And
mm,
I know it's for a lot of people hard to trust their body after cancer. Um,
mm.
did you have any like trust issues, but like challenges of really, because you talk about the listening to, which is something you cultivated over that time. But did you find that challenging, and what did you use to overcome that?
I think your body is really different afterwards. I never felt like my body let me down or it sort of went rogue on me because I developed cancer. I actually now see cancer as such a gift.
Mm.
And I think it was an awakening to really remove me from a situation that didn't serve me on a soul level. And whatever it was that brought my husband and I together, we we'd completed that. I think it was a soul contract. We'd completed it. And it was really perhaps those things where you think that a marriage is meant to last forever and ever and ever that would have kept me trying and trying. And we probably both knew that it was complete. So it's that judgment from outside. It's like, oh, you failed because your marriage didn't last, forever and ever. Uh, and in that space, I guess, there's some kind of your body and then meeting somebody else and getting intimate with somebody and thinking that your body's not like everybody else's body. I've had reconstructed breasts, and that in your head can be a bit of a hurdle. And then it's like, but with the right person, that's not a hurdle.
Mm.
That you discuss and you share, and they're completely, and as we get older, no one's body is how it started out when you're 20 anyway. So it's just kind of like, this is the body I have now, and it's embrace it and love it because, I'm breathing. I get to breathe and I get to wake up each day and I get to watch my children grow and become beautiful humans. So I feel blessed, and I, if I ever have a momentary thought where, I wish I had breasts that had kind of feeling, or, I wish I hadn't gone through menopause with such a massive rush. It's like, I could just say to myself, like, wow, I see these friends of mine now that are having menopause, and it's like this grueling thing that they complain about constantly. I'm like, oh, well, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, mostly it's like I find an opportunity in all of it to just feel really grateful.
That's just
And
so amazing.
and I have friends that there was a lady I shared coffee with a few times while we were having chemotherapy. She passed away, and that's confronting. It's like, why her? Why not me? Like, how does this lottery of life even work that she didn't get to grow old and I've got through this twice? Like this, there's nothing really tangible that you can make sense of it. Why do some people get it? Why do others not? Why do I, when I felt healthy, get it? It's
Yeah.
has stuff that comes and challenges them, and that's my challenge. You've had yours. Everybody, it's almost like there's a thread in humanity where everybody suffers in some way, and perhaps that's the catalyst to unearth your gifts. And the stories really don't matter. It's just like a rite of passage in life that there's going to be hurdles. And the first time I had breast cancer, I always said, oh, the universe has put a big hurdle in my way, and I get to choose how I jump it.
Yeah.
Do I jump it with a smile on my face and be optimistic, or do I get all like cranky and bitter and, why me, and pissed off with the world? And it's like, I don't choose to be that person.
And
So,
that's the magic, that you have a choice, and what side of the hand you look at, what perspective you look at it, and focusing on that, the gratitudes, and how blessed we are. And it's amazing to have that relationship and that faith and that trust that there must be a plan, even though we can't see it. Maybe there is a plan, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. And it's just tuning in with that faith, and that gives such a peace of mind, I find. I don't know how that's for
And
you.
also, like, the beauty that comes with these things,
Yeah.
the beauty that comes out of the ashes of something really challenging is, the people that support you, that love you, that, just come and hold your hand through the tough bits. And it's not always the people you think it'll be.
No.
Like, I actually assumed, and I think what's that? There's an expression that, the pain in life is the space between expectation and reality.
Yeah.
And I expected that my husband would be that person, but it wasn't how it panned out necessarily. And so that there was a lot of pain in that, because my expectation and the reality of the facts of the matter were way different. But in that space, amazing people popped up that I had no expectation from, yet they were so loving. Like a man I barely knew. I remember he arrived my daughter worked at his cafe in her uni holidays, and he found out where we lived and arrived with a big box of flowers and wine and muffins from his, bakery, and just these acts of kindness that just fill your heart up and make you so grateful for these beautiful souls that do gestures that just are filled with love. And my family, like, I have a sister that I'm incredibly, I mean, I've rung her at 3 a.m, sobbing my little heart out to her and going, I'm sorry I've woken you and your husband up, but I just had to talk to you.
Yeah.
And, my children, there's so many blessings in all of these challenges. And
I would love to close with that, because that is so, like, that's what this is all about. Seeing the blessings, tapping into the opportunities and the possibilities that even those hardships bring. And you can see you're like a living, glowing example of that. You can come out feeling freer and better and more excited, maybe even than ever.
the thing I'd love to say is that there's no right or wrong way to do anything in life. Just do what feels right for yourself. And life's so precious. It's like, do what's on your heart, live that in a way that's authentic with your values and your own being. And, we don't have to explain it, or it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else on the planet.
Yeah. That's a big one, because also, like, people like to put a timeline of, like, when will I feel better and when will this end? Whenever it needs to be, like, some people take 6 months, people take 5 years, and everything in between, to find like the sweet spots in life. And sometimes you have them, and then some days we don't, and it's all okay. It is all perfect just as it is. And the breath that it brings for accepting that and just allowing it all, it's magical. And it frees up the space for things to just move along and new things to come in that you might have, like you said, people and things that you have never expected, that are better beyond what you ever imagined. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. And yeah, have an amazing weekend, guys. There's 2 more chats coming, and thank you for watching the replay. Thank you, Pip. And
such a pleasure, and thank you anyone that was here, and good luck on your journey. I just wish you, a life full of love and joy and happiness.
Thank you.